you're dealing with nagging upper back stiffness along the spine, in between the shoulder blades, and it's restricting your movements in the gym, but you want to learn how to fix the root cause of the problem, then this video is for you. What tends to happen when we're trying to fix this issue is that we get tunnel vision and only think of the symptom, this upper back stiffness, when in reality we need to understand how the whole pattern is impacted by this and really how the whole pattern is actually causing this. That's the difference from symptoms versus source or addressing the root cause. To understand how a pattern or dysfunctional posture is created in the first place, we need to know the two reasons behind it. Number one, we are all moving forwards in space so that we can apply downward force on the ground. When we go to take a step or move, the foot, the tibia, the femur, the pelvis, the ribs, the spine, all these things have to change shape at the right time. If we go to take that step and we cannot achieve that result, then what the body can do is it can start to shift its center of gravity forwards. This makes it much easier to acquire downforce because now I don't have to actually find those shapes. I push myself forwards. That forwards pressure brings my body weight over the foot and forces the down force. So we still achieve the goal, but it's in a compensatory way, and we usually start to have dysfunction because of it. The second factor to consider as to why we start to see that forwards shift is that we need to maintain our center of gravity. Yes, the center of gravity goes forwards, but then we have to do something as a result, meaning we might have to turn, we might have to drop a shoulder. All of these things need to happen so that we don't fall. So at the end of the day, we're getting down force by moving forwards. We are turning, dropping a shoulder, doing something to maintain our balance so we don't fall. So we can check the boxes on those two things. The problem is, as a result of it, we have these postural dysfunctions. We have a lot of compression places, expansion places, and it creates these painful areas. So now that we've identified the root cause of the problem, let's discuss 3 steps we can add in so that we can continue working out but not make the problem worse. Step number 1, we need to increase our awareness of this upper back. The result of so much compression makes this a foreign object to a lot of people. What I mean by that is it's really difficult to actually move and glide and get to expand and compress because it's so used to being in this stationary position. So we can increase our awareness of this area through exercises and start to focus on breathing. One simple awareness drill we can do are shoulder blade push-ups. Now this looks like a cat-cow or a cat-camel, but the emphasis is at the shoulder blades and on breathing. So what you do is go in an all-fours position and make sure that your hands are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. From here, we're going to drop the head so we're getting the neck out of the movement, nice and relaxed through the neck. And then what we're going to do is find our 100 and 0. So 100% is when we maximally push up. Now, I'm not saying we always want this 100%, but you need to first understand your boundaries or your outer limits. So there's 100. What you should feel here is that your shoulder blades are separated and moving away from the spine. Conversely, when we find our 0, our elbows stay straight and we bring our shoulder blades towards the spine. So we're trying to feel how low can we go without the elbows bending. From there, we're going to start to couple breathing. We're going to inhale through our nose as we push up. We're going to exhale as we come down. One thing to know is that try to find a relative neutral spine and keep it there. With your normal cat-cow and cat-camel, you get a lot of pelvis motion. We're trying to really keep the isolation up at the shoulder blades. So when you put it all together, you will maintain that straight elbow position, head relaxed. You're going to inhale through the entire duration as you push up. Hold your breath, hang out, make sure your neck isn't tight, and then we're going to exhale coming down. And then we repeat.
the whole time you're doing this, you're thinking shoulder blades move away from the spine and shoulder blades move towards the spine. Why I want you to focus that is because it's really easy to start moving the pelvis and it feels like you're moving more. And yes, you might be, but you're not moving through the right spot. We're trying to maintain that movement through the shoulder blades. For this, set a timer for at least 2 minutes, go more if you want, and focus on movement away from the spine, movement towards the spine as you couple it with the proper breathing.
Step number 2 is increasing awareness of our center of gravity. Now, this is a very detailed topic, but here are the cliff notes. When it comes to our foot, and specifically foot contacts, we have 4 of them. We have the inside aspect of the heel, the outside heel, the inside big toe, and the inside under the pinky toe. So what we want to think about here is that when we're doing exercise, are we losing contact points? And the answer for a lot of people is yes. A lot of times the big toe will come off the ground. A lot of times the heel will come off the ground. A lot of times we are so far out on the side or so far out on the inside. And so we are losing contact points. When it comes to really understanding how to increase awareness of our center of gravity, we need to make sure that we first have all of our contact points. If we don't have those contact points, then we have to start to compensate up above. So the first thing you can do to start to increase your awareness of your contact points is to stand in a very normal position. Don't try to overcorrect, and just start to sense what you feel. Think about your left foot, think about your right foot, and answer the following questions. As you stand there, do you feel heavier on one foot more than the other? When you think about the left foot, do you feel more the inside part of the foot? Do you feel more of the outside, or is it equally balanced? When you feel the right side, do you feel the inside aspect, the outside, or is it equally balanced? Going back through each foot, where do you feel your bias towards? Left foot, do you feel like you're mostly on your heel, midfoot, or toe? Right foot, do you feel like you're more on the heel, midfoot, and toe? And what you should find is that you probably will feel different on one foot compared to the other. And that's because we're all dealing with these asymmetries, and it's going to produce different amounts of downforce. So that's a very simple way that you can just start to understand, where am I starting? Because that's what we need to first understand, like, where are you starting? Then when you start to add in exercise, it just makes things harder. So we have to get really confident on understanding our baseline. A really straightforward drill we can do is a split squat. However, the difference is that the focus is not on the legs, the focus is on the foot contacts. And what you're trying to understand is, when you go into a split squat, can you actually maintain that heel contact? Or do you feel like you have to tip up? A lot of us feel like we have to tip up, or we don't have a lot of range of motion because we're starting in this rib cage flared, pelvis shifted forwards position. And what that does is that shifts our center of mass forwards, and so we're going to run out of space quicker. So what we need to do here is think about the rib cage staying back, the pelvis staying stacked underneath the ribs, and we are pushing that knee forwards and only going to the point where we can still maintain that heel contact. And so the whole time we're going through this motion, we are thinking, do I have those 4 contacts? Inside, outside heel, inside, outside forefoot. And so it's a really simple, I know it's very simple, but you really have to think and feel what you're actually feeling. This is how we start to transfer it to the gym with movements that require more weight and more compression, but also higher rates of speed. So we need to learn these things slow and in controlled environment so that when we're in the gym moving fast with heavy weights, it becomes automatic. And finally, step number 3, we need to become intentional with our exercise selection. The principle we need to understand is that exercise increases compression. If I stand here, I have a normal amount of compression. If I hold a dumbbell, I increase the compression. If I increase the weight of the dumbbell, I increase the amount the body is being compressed. So the body compresses proportionally to the amount of load. So it's a really useful concept to remember when battling nagging upper back pain. So now when it comes to exercise selection, we need to understand that there's certain exercises that compress more than others. Let's take a squat, for example. A barbell back squat is going to compress the body significantly more compared to a bottoms up kettlebell front squat. Here's the reason. When we put that bar on our back, it's automatically compressing down. Then we add weight and we get more and more compression. The body needs to compress so that it creates stiffness so we can actually do the squat. Conversely, when we go to a bottoms up kettlebell squat and specifically holding it in front of us, what we're doing is we are shifting our center of gravity back. So anytime we have an anterior load, our center of gravity goes back, so we create a little bit more space. But the nice thing is when you're at that position where your elbows are in front of you, you have that slight shoulder blade away from the spine position. What is this? This is an expanded representation of that mid to upper back. That is something that is useful. So when we're doing this exercise that still compresses the body, there is less compression compared to the barbell squat. And so that's how we want to start to think about exercises. If you have an exercise that you're doing but you're not sure, does this add compression? Are there any alternatives? Go ahead and leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you with an alternative. So those are the 3 steps we want to start to understand and include so we start to increase expansion in the upper back, decrease compression while we work out. Now, there is something I want to take note of, and that is when you start to do these things, you need to make sure it aligns with your goal. If your goal is hypertrophy training, you are just trying to build as much muscle mass, think of this as the aesthetic goal, then maybe a barbell back squat will get you there quicker compared to a kettlebell front squat. And so you have to be really in tuned as to what your goal is. When you're working out, are you able to add these modifications in, or is that going to frustrate you because now we're doing potentially lighter loads, but feeling better? So we need to make sure that our execution aligns with our intent.